Hi there, this is Eduardo Sandoval Jr., and you're watching the FilmMakers Series, where I will be interviewing a Northwest filmmaker every week to talk about their projects and hopefully things that they want to aspire to in their career. Chris Whitmer, thank you for joining me today. So, how do you like the Northwest so far?
I love it. It's a lot more milder than Indiana, I'll tell you that much.
Tell me, what brought you to the Northwest actually from Indiana?
It's a long story. Well, I was 19 years old. I graduated high school. I was kind of depressed and burnt out. I had a couple of random jobs. I recently injured myself in my first job then, and then I was a bell ringer at Salvation Army actually, and then I did some other odd work, and I had a car, and I was doing a live show. I was doing a live broadcast on the internet, Blog TV. I had 2 cameras. Did it every single Friday, Saturday night with me and my friends at 11 o'clock. And I did a bunch of YouTube videos, and I was pretty much a filmmaker already. I just wasn't as good as I am now. I needed a lot more shooting time, whereas I was getting a lot more producing time then. And I kind of wanted to be a director, but I also wanted to be a DP then, whereas now I kind of really do just specifically want to be a director of photography or a camera operator. But yeah, I was pretty decent then. I had really shitty cameras, mini DV tapes.
Mini
Pop them
DV.
in there. Oh no, it's blue. Got to get the mini DV tape cleaner out. And the web broadcast was good old 240p.
240p. What was specifically your training, your base?
My base of filmmaking was taught from high school, my senior year of high school. I did some stuff with beta cams in middle school and stuff. I looked at them before, toyed around with them a little bit. And high school, I was also got into theater a little bit, but I didn't want to act or anything. Even though I took improv classes in middle school, I realized I can improv, but I don't really want to act. I don't like doing that. So what I wanted to do was build lights and stages and flats and do that. I wanted to be the tech person for theater, and then I got bored and I didn't care anymore about it. And I realized that it'd be a lot more fun if I could. I was going to say funner, but funner's not a word. It'd be a lot more fun if I could just take a camera and film this. And then slowly and surely I pieced together that even when I was a kid, back with VHS camcorders, I wanted to make a movie. And I never came full circle in my head to about junior year of high school. And I went to orientation. They were going to do it junior year of high school for the first time, but they didn't, and they found Mr. Phelps. Bob Phelps. For some reason, everybody who's really important in getting me into this industry, their name is Bob.
Bob.
We're going to come full circle here if we go down the whole list. But long story short, he used to work for NBC out of South Bend. He was an award-winning camera operator, and I pretty much went under his wing and went to the class. I was one of the best students. I was second best student. The first best student wasn't really a filmmaker. I believe now he's a gaffer / producer. He doesn't actually get hands-on anymore in the filmmaking process. He kind of produces, edits, and does a little bit of lighting. That's really about it. But he wanted to be Quentin Tarantino then. He was in Quentin Tarantino, and he did some pretty cool stuff. He had some pretty loyal friends that would do some pretty crazy stuff, and I got taught, 3-point lighting, 180-degree rules. I learned everything about safety with lights because I saw some pretty gruesome things. I saw a pretty bad accident with a light in that class. And as being the second best student who always did more new stuff than the film guys always did more film stuff, I thought I wanted to be a filmmaker, and I do, but I love operating for live events more than I do film. I like them about equally, so I would always end up doing more live events, and every once in a while I do a short film. My short films were really good. I can watch them now and be like, okay, sure, it's copyrighted music, and it's really bad quality, but it's good editing, good basics of filmmaking is all right here. It's not stellar, but the basics are there, and that's what I learned in high school. And then did my live broadcast, graduated high school, and like all these wonderful stories, I met a girl, and they were somebody I was with years ago now. So like, you should come out here. I'm sure they have film schools here. So I looked up Northwest Film School, and 2 popped up: Seattle Film Institute, Northwest Film Center. The Film Institute had a 10-month course. The Film Center was a 2-year course, and I'm somebody who I have to like get in there, figure it all out, and get it working and get it going right away.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm a really good camera operator, because I can take any camera, put my attention into it, boom, I got it. It's like if I direct, I'm a very fast director. I made a short film called The Button about a year ago, and I my AD couldn't keep up with me. I was just like, let's go, let's shoot. I was jumping up and down, just waiting to say action.
Huh.
And just, I got to go. So if I direct, it's very fast. The Button has, I think it has over 150 shots, and it's 13 minutes long, and we shot it in only 3 days. Out of the week, we shot it in 3 days. We had a lot of producing and preparation work, but that's how fast I move things along. I'm a very fast-going person. I like to get it done right, and get it done on time. So I wanted to go to the Seattle Film Institute. Financial reasons, couldn't go there. That fell through. Then I lived in St. Helens in Columbia County with that girl for a little while, and then we flaked out, came back, whatever. And I went and I got a security guard job about a year later. Started going to the film center, and they handed me a Super 8mm camera. And I literally died inside, because that is just not the kind of filmmaker I am. That's just not me. I'm a techie. I like the highest, newest stuff, and
You like gadgets, newest gadgets and toys.
Gadgets, and I like tools. I like having a good tool. A Super 8mm camera is a good tool if it's 1978 and you don't have anything else to work with. If you want audio, it's a horrible tool. There is no audio. And it's just, also, if you have lots of money to spend on cartridges of film, it's great. Now they're coming out, I think, with a digital 8mm camera. And then it's the same, you can just take the digital cartridge, put an 8mm camera, and shoot it the same way. That's a prototype. That's great, that's cool. But then it still wasn't, we weren't at that point where we're switching over to digital still. And I never really had an affinity with film. I never liked the look of film. I liked movies, and I liked the anamorphic look, but that grain drove me nuts. Even like watching a DVD, like, why is this so grainy, and why is TV not?
Or like in the movie theater, it's all grainy. Kinda.
Yeah, it always drove me nuts. I'm like, why is it grainy? Why do the titles always move up and down? Like, what is with, like, why do people like that bad projection-y look? Whereas I like crisp, clear video. And that's just something I love. I adore that. I don't like film grain. Like when I get like those color correction packets, I like to toy around with those. There's a grain part on almost all of them, and I always just take it off. And I put noise reduction on it. I hate grain. The crisper and clearer it is, the happier I am. Because to me, a crisp, clear image is a lot more than a grainy image, unless it's for effect. I can pop grain on in post. I don't need to shoot with film just to get grain. It's a pain. But yeah, so I went to the film center. I was a security guard. Couldn't do it both at the same time. Dropped out of both. Lost my house. Went back to Indiana for a little bit. Then I went to Alabama. Almost got a job at a Target in Alabama. Had the same kind of plan. I'm going to get this job. I'm going to get my equipment. I'm going to finally get in the industry, start making TV and movies and events. It's great. And due to not being able to get a ride, I lost my job. And once again, I was between a rock and a hard place. Went back to Indiana, saved up some money. 3 months later, came back out here with nothing but a backpack on. And within 3 months, I had an apartment and a job. And then I got registered at PCC. The job ended. Went back to Indiana, filled out some forms, came back, went to PCC. And now this month, I'm graduating as a 4.0 college student. I have now almost 9 years of experience. And I know now that I am a camera operator, director of photography, editor, and then at the very end, director. I don't like directing, but...
You primarily consider yourself a camera person, but also DP. That's your calling, pretty much. And how was it for you to not have that role in The Button that you directed?
Well, first I want to say that Joshua Brothlet, I can't pronounce his last name, but Josh he's a great DP. He's very good. He's very traditional in his shots. He's a very good traditional DP. If you want good traditional shots, good safe shots, and it gets, and every once in a while it gets in there, gets dirty a little bit, and it's good, and it's great. He did a great job. The button looks nice. It looks great. But I didn't shoot it. I directed it. And that drives me nuts. To this day, it drives me nuts. So you won't see it very often in my reels. You might see 1 or 2 shots from it. But I like the movie, and I like that it's done. It's put on a shelf, and it's done, and it's gone. It's up here on a shelf, right here, and that's where it stays. And, Josh used it in his reel. Go ahead. He did a great job. But it's just, it wasn't the way I would have shot it. So while technically it's my movie, I wrote it, I directed it, I edited it, I couldn't shoot it, and because of that, it's not my visual work. I'm a very visual person. So if anybody ever asks me for like a videographer role, hey Chris, I need you to shoot and direct something, I'll tell them, look at the button. I shot a couple shots and I directed it. That's my directing piece. That's how I can work with actors. That's that. Mm-hmm. And I can figure out problems, and I can, like for a job interview, look at the button. I've solved all the issues in all aspects of filmmaking. Look at the button, but I didn't shoot it. And that actually makes it the thing I actually never watch. Out of all my projects, I never watch the button, only because I didn't shoot it. I watch it on a very special occasion when I'm feeling, what's the word?
Inspired? Oh, sentimental.
When I'm feeling sentimental, I'll go back, hey, let's watch this again. Okay, we did it, we got it done, and that's it. But and Josh did some great stuff, but it almost has the look I want.
What are some of your influences that turned you on to filmmaking?
Well, Armageddon, Michael Bay, boom, number 1. Number 2, 28 Days Later. That was the movie that told me that you have to have a good tool. You don't have to have the best tool in the world. If you have a really good GL2, you can make a movie. Not as good as a film camera, but you can make a movie. And it's cheaper, it's quicker, it gets done in time, and there's no film grain. That's what 28 Days Later taught me. And ever since then, we've seen the explosion of DSLRs, and we've seen the explosion of interchangeable lens cameras. News cameras have always been interchangeable lens. You could have always changed the lens on news cameras forever. So I'm used to changing my lenses on video cameras. But if you're shooting a film, for some reason filmmakers, they would either shoot with a news camera, and if they didn't shoot with a news camera and they were on digital, they would shoot with mini DV, and they would gripe and moan and complain and buy extenders and buy all this crap for this mini DV camera when you could have always changed it on a news camera. And when DSLRs came out, interchangeable lens camcorders came out, I think between 2007 and 2010, when that rave of stuff that pretty much took all SD equipment and put it in a dumpster, which is a shame because you can get yourself a broadcast SD camera, it's still really good. So hint for all the upcoming filmmakers out there, get that. You can change your lenses, you can learn everything you need to learn, and it's still going to look pretty decent. So there's a tip for y'all. But with the explosion of those cameras, it let the filmmakers who have been trying to get stuff done, who were like me, it said to me, if I keep following down, the tools that I need are now there. Before they were there, but I wanted the news camera. Now I can and I still want a news camera. A news camera does what I want it to do. That's what I need. But for filmmaking now, whereas before I would go with a news camera, like 2009, I would go for a really big news camera and put digital primes on it, RE primes. You can do that with a news camera. We've been able to do that for 6 years now. Not many people know that. And that's the camera I aspired to for 6 years. But now I know that I can get an AF100, and I can plug the audio into the AF100 on like a DSLR, and that's the tool. And now I know that that's what the button was shot on, AF100. Everybody else shot on their DSLRs, and they had their external recorders, and they had a sound team and a camera team and all this extra shit that you don't need when you're trying to make an independent movie. And we just plugged it in, and everyone gave me shit. Chris, we just use sync sound. I'm like, no, there's one editor, there's one camera, there's one microphone. Let's get it done. So AF100 is probably the best thing that happened to filmmaking. Not the DSLRs. The DSLRs started that. The 5D Mark II is a great launch forward, but the AF100, I changed it. Now it's normal now. Like if you want to make a movie, use that camera. But I remember back in the day, 28 days later told me that no matter it's on digital or film, if you get a tool that you can use, you get the tools that you don't have to buy anything else for. You get the tool, you get 3 lenses, or you get the tool with the 1 lens you want. That's it. You don't need nothing else, and then you can go out there and make it. A lot of camera people like me, sure, I drool over the cameras we're using here. I drool over these cameras. They're great cameras, but you don't need them. You don't need that, especially in today's day and age. You don't need that. And 28 days later, and Armageddon, those 2 movies told me that you can make movies no matter what you have. And Armageddon's the look I aspire to. And now I know for a fact that, like, if I put anamorphic lens with an adapter onto an AF100, I can shoot Armageddon. Just like I did in the 90s, I can shoot it, but I can shoot it without $18 million in film. So, definitely.
You kind of take a broadcaster approach to shooting narratives,
Pretty much.
Seems like, because of your broadcaster training.
Mm-hmm.
What are you working on now?
Now? What am I working on now? Oh boy, well, I just finished a basketball season. That was a lot of fun with you. Now it's I'm graduating college and it's time to get into the professional world and start making more money. That's really the plan. I'm going to try and go into business with a couple of friends of mine and keep working with a guy who I've just started working with again, Bob.
Another Bob.
Another Bob. And he's been getting me some good stuff too. Bob Pilata, great guy. And I'm just going to start working with those folks and start making money. And my goals are to stay in Portland. I don't want to leave Portland. I like it too much. Some people got really big goals. I want to go to Hollywood. I want to do this. I'm like, let's just stay in Portland. So I want to stay in Portland. I would love to eventually work on a narrative TV show as a camera operator, maybe a DB. And then I would love to, work for sports. Love doing sports stuff. So I would say this year, 2014, looks like there's a whole narrative season I'm doing, another webisode series I'm doing, camera operating. There's 3 short films I've been asked to come shoot. There's a wedding, there's a bunch of stuff like that, a bunch of event stuff I'm shooting, and then, trying to do some music videos and concerts and some promos and commercials. Just, shooting is what I do. So that's good. I personally have my own project. Would like to make a short film. And maybe it can get done in 2014. Maybe I'll have enough time.
If you have enough time, right?
If I have enough time, if I don't get too obsessed with falling in love with shooting and getting paid for it, which I might, I definitely have a little pet project that I'm cooking up.
What kind of stories do you want to tell? Everyone has a point of view that they want to project out there. And what's the kind of stories you're aiming to do while in your director mode?
Yeah, when I go into director mode, I put a camera on my shoulder still. But I like the way I'm best at would be I love to make short films that I can direct and shoot. So I don't have to bunch so much. I didn't do both. I could have, but they wouldn't let me. But the stories I want to tell, the story of the button is kind of it. I put that stupid fucking button in a room with 2 people to create more conflict, but really it's not the story. That's not the point of it. The point of it was the circumstances surrounding it. I like telling political stories. I like telling, I'm a labor activist, if you can't tell by my button. Go Portland teachers, go Medford teachers. But I like to tell stories about people who are underdogs in society. Specifically, I've always, in time, I would love to make a short film, or maybe have somebody who I trust a lot and has the same kind of political views direct and me shoot a big epic movie about a socialist revolution. I'm a socialist, so I like showing people that a lot of the stuff in the world that we accept as okay is horribly wrong, and I really like in short little bits, pretty much telling people to forget everything you believe, watch this, and if that doesn't change your point of view on something, you're probably pretty insane. So I like psychological political thrillers. That's the stories I like to tell.
Psychological political thrillers.
And I like to get in your head and tell you that everything you've been raised is wrong, and you need to wake up, like most activists will tell you. I work with a group, and they're all about getting them out there, and part of me is all like, I want to do that, but and I am an activist, but God, I just want to be, I want to do it with a short film, you know. I like having a band of, you know, leftists being beaten and beaten, and they finally win. Impression. I like, I think what I would like to do, my next political film I'd like to make would kind of capitalize on, you know, just how capitalism isn't actually a system of choice. You know, people think communism and, you know, Soviets, they think that, like, the view of that, the visual view of that is like, you sit in a room, you do what you're told, you get up, you go to work, you do what the comrade Stalin tells you to do all day in, you eat the same rations, and that's your life. And I want to pretty much do that, but show you how blatantly exactly the same capitalism is, because you get up, you go to work, you go home, and that work, you have to go to work every day because you have to pay to go to work, to go home, and to sleep so you can go back to work. And then you have to have a family so you can reproduce kids that pay at work to get up, go to school. You know, it's like, it's the whole system. It's just you get up, you go to school from you're born, and then you get up, and you go to work, and you go home. There's no choice. Especially when we're going to Target, you're like, you get up, you drive to work, you get out of your car, you beep for 7 hours, you go home, you go to sleep, you get up, you beep, like that is your life. Like, how is that any better than communism? So, well, how is that any better than that oppressive fascist regime that was, you know, the evils of society? So I like showing people that, like, you know, things are wrong in this world and change is coming. So that's what I like to do. That's why I like doing events, because I like to document events that are important in the labor movement, because that doesn't have mainstream following. So I like to take my mainstream approach to that, and that's why so many people always ask me to film their weddings and film their events, because I take that Hollywood mentality, as you say, I take that broadcast approach to narrative. So most of what I do is actually kind of a fusion of, like, if Michael Bay was a camera operator for news, that's kind of pretty much how I shoot everything. So I'm like, how would Michael Bay do this? Well, first we got to see the wide, then we got to see the medium, then we got to see the closes, and, you know, that's just how I do everything. But if I went into just strict director mode, I think that's what I want to make next. What I want to make next is how you're slaves to your job. So, like, you know, it's like, literally I want the person to be a cashier that's just beeping away for their life.
Are you hoping to cause kind of change in society?
Yes.
With those kind of films?
Yes. Yeah. I want to change things, whether it's through documenting an event, and let's say I get a shot of something at, like, a protest, and people are like, oh my God, I got to get out of my chair. I got to get out away from this TV and get out there and join that. I want to be that camera operator, or I want to be the guy who makes the film that people rally behind. It's all like, hey, watch this film, and come to these meetings and become an activist. And that's what I want to do with my career. And if I can't do that, then I want to go into sports. So yeah, because I do love my basketball.
All right. Well, on that note, I'm here again with Chris Whitmer, and we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after this.
Push that button. Stop hurting yourself over a weak, pathetic human.
Haven't you done enough already?
No, I haven't. You won't choose. You want the money. The mortgage won't pay itself, and he can easily find another. Someone who can pay her own bills? That always leads to infidelity. Where is he right now?
It is a lot. But I'm not playing your game.
He probably has someone in your house right now.
Finally, here's our list. Sabrina Obeid, John Winco.
You have no bills, you demon!
Don't lie to yourself. You need the money and you want it. Think of the power and the trust it could buy you. It could seal your marriage. It could pay off your house. Hell, you could even help your friend out. Take the money, Emma.
That's not fair. None of this is. Who would I kill? What if it's Brittany? What if it's Brandon? What if it's me? Where the hell am I anyway?
Don't worry about that. Just make a choice. No one will be the wiser. It'll be an accident. Take the money, Emma. You need the money.
Hey there again, back to the FilmMakers series. I'm here with Chris Whitmer, and he's talking about his approach, his broadcasting approach to filmmaking. So Chris, I noticed that you like to shoot live events, such as protests or police chases and those kinds of things. And I find that to be pretty interesting because everyone today, everyone right now wants to shoot narrative, wants to shoot web series, or wants to make, a big feature. But not everybody wants to shoot ordinary, everyday things, such as the news, but also add that to their style of filmmaking. So who or what filmmakers or what camera operators influenced you to just go out there and do it and take that approach?
Well, Michael Bay's my biggest influence when I was younger. He's the whole reason why I even like narratives at all, because he took a different approach to it. Him and his DP, I forget his name, but the one that worked on his first 90s films, they took a whole different approach. They took a moving, fast-paced, explosive, literal explosive, cool twist on movies, and critics hated it, but the youth loved it, and that's why he's fucking rich, and that's why he's very popular. Along with his DP, he's great. Another DP that I really like is who's kind of game changed everything is the DP for Christopher Nolan. I can't remember.
Wally Pfister.
Wally Pfister, yeah. He literally, like in Inception, literally turned the tables upside down on filmmaking. Like the way he shoots is real. I disagree with him on film. He has this whole belief in film and 35 millimeter. That's not really true. He does have a really good belief on like IMAX film. It's the best quality. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course. You can shoot with an IMAX camera. Why wouldn't you? I mean, come on. But I like his approach because him and Nolan have a very realistic approach. Like they want 100 people. They want 100 crooks and 100 cops battling each other out in a third Batman movie. That's what they want. That makes notes. That changes things. Michael Bay wants Bruce Willis to blow up an asteroid. That changes stuff. That changes the filmmaking world. That changes in the way he shot it. It's just like a 2-hour hyped up BMW commercial. It's like crazy. Philip Bloom, who is one of my idols right now, he worked in TV and news for 25 years, and that's how he got his basics. And now he's a really good, beautiful cinematographer and director of photography. And people ask him, how did you learn all this? If you shoot for 25 years in TV, not only do you have 25 years of basics, then you have if you're setting up for a live shot, if you're an embedded reporter for the BBC or Sky News and you're doing a live shot from, let's say, Africa, and you're going to be on the 7 o'clock news, you could literally have sometimes almost 6 hours of waiting for that uplink and everything to get ready to go. You have 6 hours to have a really beautiful shallow depth of field walking shot. In fact, the best shot that Philip Bloom that I like, my favorite shot of his, is a reporter, and I forget which country, and she's walking down this third world road, and cars are passing her, and it's all blurry out of focus. She's in focus. She's clearly holding her wireless lock, but it's news. It doesn't really matter. And she's expressing and talking, and the camera's at least a couple hundred yards away. It's very far away, and it's just nice, slow pan and zoom, beautiful, just beautiful shot. And then it goes into this really great, wonderful basic shot, close up, long, wide, medium, close, wide, medium, close, and a little bit of Dutching, a little bit of this, a little bit of neat little nuances that he does, and some neat little lighting tricks that he uses, and it's this great news story. That's how you become a great cinematographer. You don't become a great cinematographer by setting up a shot with a jib and 85 lights in this huge studio, and you have one actor and you follow him down a hallway. That's great, and you're going to learn how to pull focus really good, but it's going to look like every other Hollywood movie ever made. It's not going to look new, it's not going to look different, and you're going to get hired and you're going to make these films, and unless the story's really good, or unless you pull off like a Halloween style tracking down a 6-block road shot, you're not really going to change things much. You're just going to be the safe guy, you're going to get work, and it's going to be interesting. But if you want to change things, if you go out there like Philip Bloom did, and some of my favorite camera operator is actually from the BBC, Dan Caraway. He's embedded in Syria right now, and he just goes out there and he uses the 5D Mark III. He goes out there with the press, and he just gets these amazing, beautiful, beautiful shots, and just documents the atrocities there. And I believe he went down. He's the same guy. I think it might be the same camera operator, but a different one. He got caught up in and got captured in a war in Sudan. Some reporters did there. I believe it's actually a different camera operator, and he's beautiful. Like it shot wonderfully. And what he did is he uses a bunch of GoPros, puts them wherever he can, and then he also has his broadcast camera, and he's always rolling with these things. So you got a camera, and it's like outside, some guy's holding it outside the car, and it's got this great shot of them driving down this road with the military chasing them. And then he's got his broadcast shoulder inside, shooting this, and it's just, they take that broadcast approach. You watch it, it looks like real life, and he has all this stuff. If he shot an action scene, that guy would put GoPros everywhere, he'd have a camera in the car, it'd look great. It would look great. Literally, that looked like a movie chase scene. That's what that looked like. And it was a news report. Philip Bloom does these great, amazing shots because he's done in the real world for 25 years. So you can, like I say, you can set up that jib. You can do that great, wonderful, amazing movie shot with a $150,000 camera. But at the end of the day, when you go to shoot somebody walking down the street and it starts to rain, what do? You don't know how to adapt to that situation. You have no idea what to do there. You have to wait. If you have that big enough budget, we'll just reschedule it for next week. Or you could just, put the camera on your shoulder, go out there with a waterproof camera case and record it. You could do that, but you won't, because that's not the world you're from. And that's why a lot of these filmmakers are going to go out and they all look the same. All these Hollywood movies, what do they usually look like? If they're a forget about me action movie, that's what I like to call them, they're shot exactly the same. These YouTube videos, you got DSLR footage everywhere, it looks like film, we got shot up the field, finally we got it after all these years. And it's 100 million billion people recording the most boring shit in the world from like 85 feet away with their shaky DSLR, and it's got shallow depth of field, and it's like, oh, it looks beautiful, it's great. None of those people are famous. None of those people get paid. Those people fade away. They don't get a job in the industry. They don't move on. That's not an artistic approach. That's not an intelligent approach. That's not a game-changing approach. You know what I mean? Like, you could shoot how the person before you shot, but you're going to be just like that person. You're not going to change anything. And the point of, living, you should not be to change things. Like, if you want to put your own flavor on something as an artist, being an artist, you want to change things. And if you don't aspire to change things, then why are you in the industry in the first place? A lot of Portland camera operators, I know them most of them by name, and the ones who do the reports that don't get featured on the live, and we're live 6 o'clock, someone got stabbed at Lloyd Center. Do you know who they put on the camera there? They don't put Bob, who doesn't want to change anything, who puts his microphone on top of his camera and just gets the shot. Oh, we're here. There we go. Okay, let's leave. They don't put him on the live shot for 6 o'clock. They put Bob, who gets in there, he puts a GoPro in front of his camera and just walks in the middle of the protest and, is dodging police batons. That's the guy they put in the middle of the thing because he gets experience. The best way to learn how to shoot for any cinematographer, and all the ones I know that are really good, they've done live events. If you do a live event, then you can literally look at any set. You can look at any location in the world, and you will know exactly how to shoot it. And that is why I'm a good camera operator, because for 10 years, I can look at a place and be like, I'm going to start here, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go inside, I'm going to get in there. So if there's a protest in front of a building, I get my wide. Then I go and I get the speakers. Then I go and I get another wide from here. Then I go and I get the key people of interest. Then I get further into the crowd, and then further into the crowd, and then I get above the crowd, and I get under the crowd, and I get their feet, and I just shoot that. So when I go and, let's say, do a basketball game, I know without even thinking, I know that there should be a camera there, there, and there.
So you're saying like today we're right in the middle of people taking a different approach to, like, a mold is being broken as we speak. Is that what you kind of,
Yeah.
for the past couple of years now, maybe? Or
Yeah, I would say for the past 10 years, you know, I would say that the cinematographers that shoot film and they're a Hollywood, woofy, doofy, artsy, fartsy kind of person, their influence isn't as big as it used to be anymore. Especially if you're in a town like Portland and you shoot artsy, fartsy, flootsy, wootsy movies, great. You're going to be in the artsy, fartsy, flootsy, wootsy crowd, but it's not going to leave Portland. You're not going to get out of your film festival. If you want to be noticed, it has to look like real life. I notice this because I'm a gamer. And in video games, from the PlayStation, from the N64 to the PlayStation 4, what has changed? It looks like real life. So literally, they're doing realism. Like, let's say Modern Warfare, that series of games, like they keep going further and further into, it looks like a news report, it looks like real life, it looks like you're actually getting shot at.
so broadcasting has influenced the film world, and we're like right in the middle of it now.
Yeah,
to where
because
the look of broadcasting and news and is kind of today's just look, right?
yeah, people want that real look. That's why people love. Philip Bloom's work. Why do they love Philip Bloom's work? Because Philip Bloom makes it look like it's real. You know, why do people love a Michael Bay movie? Because it looks like it's real. Why do people love Wally Fitzgerald's work? Because it's actually 100 fucking people fighting 100 other people in a battle. That looks real. People love realism. So if you're CGing it up with an 85 techno crane with an Ari Alexa, that's great. And you're going to get some money for that. You're going to be in work for another 10 years, but your audience is going to shrink a little bit because the younger audience, they want real. Like, look at a Coca-Cola commercial today. Look at a McDonald's commercial today. It is shot in an actual freaking McDonald's with an actual camera inside the McDonald's. And the only thing that's kind of made up is they kind of make up the lighting a little bit, and even the lighting doesn't look too fake anymore. If you notice that lighting in commercials and TV and video games and now more and more films is natural. It's no longer super staged like this is, because people want that realism. Screens are everywhere. People don't want to see a screen. They want to see the real world in their screen. That's what they love. They love that. It caters to them. It's like, oh, hey, it's actually like I'm walking down the street in this video game. Hey, it's like I'm actually running with this person through this chase scene in this movie. Hey, it's like I'm actually in this commercial at a McDonald's with my friends. Like, that is what people want. With Twitter and social networks, they want to be there. They want to be in the situation.
And that goes back to the way their lives are structured or something, like.
You know, like they want to really be there. Like, not the way humans are in general. They want to be in this situation. Like, if you're watching, let's say, if the Portland teachers did go on strike, and you're watching a bunch of stories about that, that's because you care. You want to be there. You want to have influence over what happens. You want to be in that situation. That's why you watch the news reports. So if someone makes a documentary about the Portland teachers, you don't shoot it with an 85-foot techno crane. You go in there with a regular camera and shoot it like a documentary. And it's like you're there. You know, if you shot, like, let's say, a feature movie based on the Portland teachers, this is
Theoretical.
Just a basic thing. Theoretically, if you would want a big audience, you would shoot it like you're there, because it's a real world event. People want to be in your event. If you shoot a car chase scene, it's a lot better if your camera, like in the 70s, they put the cameras in the cars and on the cars, like Bullet. Best car chase ever, Gone 60 Seconds, the original one. They put it on the camera. You're in the car with him. You're really in this car chase. That was how it was all shot back then. It was very realistic. That very avant-garde, cine verte, realistic approach to filmmaking changed the way films looked. And then we kind of went back to the Hollywood model. And now, like, you literally have the realistic approach to things, like the real look. That's what people want. That's what the audience wants right now. They don't want it to look staged. Unless they're paying $85 for an IMAX movie, they don't want it to look staged. Unless they want to be taken away from the world, they don't want it to look staged. So if you make a short film, unless your audience wants to be taken away, then more than likely they're going to want to see it like it's there. I mean, like one fun is an action scene where you're jumping out of an explosion if it doesn't look like you're actually jumping out of an explosion. The camera moves with the guy. Whoa, we're going out here, boom.
It's
Camera
like,
moves.
and that comes from like the video game thing, the
Yes.
POV or
Yes.
first person, whatever you call that style, and that's just the norm now, huh?
Yeah, yeah, that's the norm. It's a broadcasting approach to filmmaking is the best approach to filmmaking, because even if you do want to shoot a very structured, tripod steady fantasy view into a world, you'll know where to put your cameras at to do that. Because if you shoot a live event and you shoot enough of them and you get good at them, like I said, you can look at anything in the world and know where to put your cameras. That's what I've learned, and that's why my influences are so, gritty and real, like Michael Bay and Philip Bloom and Dan Carraway and Tom Guillemette from Boston. Is a great cinematographer, sports photographer. It's just the best way to know how to shoot is to shoot. There is no other way. So if someone wants to go to film school, let's say, to become a cinematographer, that's not the best approach. Unless you're going to shoot 80 films in 4 years of your college, it's not the best approach. If you're going to go there and you're going to look at a book for a year, that's just not the best approach. You need to look at a book for a year and shoot every single night for a year. That is how you become a good cinematographer. Directors become good directors because they work with actors every day. You can't be a good director unless you work with actors every day. You can't be a good cinematographer unless you shoot every day. So all the people on YouTube who want to be artsy filmmakers and use their DSLRs and they shoot stuff, they're not doing it every day. They go out with their DSLR for a weekend and they shoot something that looks decent because they got a DSLR and they know how to work it. But it's not going to change it. It doesn't look amazing. People, usually if you see a short film on YouTube done by somebody who is kind of a hobbyist, and they're not in it for, let's say, an artistic reason, or they don't have any foundation to be in it, they're just having fun and they don't want to keep doing it. I'm not saying there are a lot of teenagers out there who make really great shit and they want to be in it forever, and those kids can make a $500 million looking movie with a $2 camera. But then there are people who have a $500 camera and they make a $2 looking movie. So, like I like to say, DSLR is great. You can take a picture of a dog taking a crap, looks wonderful, but there's no content there. So you got to know what content is. You got to know how to shoot content. Otherwise, you get jump cuts and everything. It's just the basics of video you can learn in broadcasting. You can learn them in a film school too. I'm not saying you can't. You can. It's just going to take you a lot longer because you're babied a little bit. You're babied. You're babied. If you go to a film school, you are babied. Unless you're doing a documentary, you're going to be babied. You're always going to have your camera on a tripod. You're always going to have smooth flowing movements, and you're never going to know if, let's say the gain goes out in your camera. You're not going to know how to compensate with, if you're used to working with a very expensive lens, and let's say the gain on your actual camera goes out, and let's say you have an ND filter on, and you want to get shot of the field, but you can't quite figure out how to do that because you haven't been in the field and it hasn't happened before. That means you're going to make a mistake in a more important time than if it's one of 85 shots in a news report. So it's just a good approach. People like realism, so they want it to look real. So if you actually shoot real events, you'll know how to shoot movies.
Sounds great. Well, on that note, we're going to take another short break, and we'll be wrapping it up here with Chris Whitmer. Thanks for watching. Okay, and we're back. I'm here with Chris Whitmer, director of photography, camera operator, as well as director. And Chris, thanks for making it to the FilmMakers Series, and I wish you the best of luck in the future, and I hope you do get to make the films that you're trying to do. All right. Thanks for watching the FilmMakers Series. This is Eduardo Sandoval Jr., and we'll see you next time.